see participants joining this session. So good evening, everyone. My name is Mariana Ruano, and today I will be facilitating your session with Lake Forest College. Thank you to our panelists, Annie, Michael, and our student guest who will be talking to us about the excellent options that you have at Lake Forest College. So before we get started, I just wanted to share a couple of housekeeping items. For instance, oops, I moved that slide, getting ahead of myself. Just so everyone knows, students or audience, if you have any questions, please use your Q&A button or on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check our full schedule at IACAC.org. And also, just so you know, the presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website. With that being said, I will turn it over to our presenters.
And thank you so much, and thanks to everybody who's joining us here this evening. My name is Mike Cohen. I am the Director of Admission and Strategic Development at Lake Forest College. We're absolutely thrilled that you're here to join us. I'm joined by two of my colleagues and one of our favorite students. We have 1,600 favorite students, and Enjo is one of those 1,600. I'm really quickly going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves, and then I know we're on a shorter time frame here, so we want to make sure to get through the material. But first and foremost, we want to let you know how excited we are that you're joining us to learn a little bit more about Lake Forest College today. So Annie, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for making it tonight. My name is Annie Keller. I'm broadcasting to you from Gurnee, Illinois. I started at Lake Forest very recently because I'm also a recent alumna of Lake Forest College as well, class of 2020. But I've been working in the Office of Admissions for all 4 years as a student, and I'm excited to present all these opportunities to you.
Thank you, Annie. Hi, everyone. My name is Melanie Sandoval. I am one of the other admissions counselors that has the privilege of being with you all tonight. I specifically work with our students in Chicago, our Lake County area, and if you're joining us from the Rockford area as well, I am your counselor, so I'm very happy to welcome you all today.
And lastly, hello guys, my name is Enjo. I am a current student at Lake Forest College. It's hard to believe I'm a third-year student now. I've been in the, I'm actually a student ambassador, been working in the admissions department since my freshman year, and I'm very excited to be here. I wish I could see you guys, but this is good enough.
So, throughout this, you're more than welcome to ask questions. The way we've set this up is we're going to talk for a little bit, and then Enjo's going to speak a little bit about his experience. We'll finish up some information on Lake Forest and leave about 10 minutes for questions. You can always ask questions, and we'll read them out. We won't attribute them to anybody specifically, but we'll make sure that we answer your questions. If we don't get to it mid-presentation, we'll make sure that we get to it at the end. And certainly we encourage you to ask any questions that you have, since the session is ultimately for you. So we want to give you a sense of who Lake Forest is. We know that there's a number of you here. Some of you have been to campus and seen campus and have been looking at Lake Forest for a couple of years. Some of you just found Lake Forest recently and are here to learn more about it. And so we want to start with just an overview of the college as a whole. As a liberal arts college, our goal really is to ensure that students have that wide-ranging experience where they get a multiplicity of perspectives, and they really get to learn skills, not just in terms of the content areas, which of course they're going to learn, but also things that are going to be really important in their day-to-day lives as they move forward through college, as well as they move forward in their careers. And so things like critical thinking and analysis and utilizing multiple perspectives to build cohesive arguments, that's built into our education system, as is the pragmatism of things like career services and making sure you have certain job skills. And so those are all the types of things that we're going to talk about throughout this presentation, but are at the forefront of the types of things that we're doing as a pragmatic liberal arts college just north of Chicago. I mentioned that we're just north of Chicago, and we mean it, just 30 miles north of the city. We know many of you are from this area. And so for those of you who are from the Chicago area, for example, if you just head north of the city, then, you know, essentially you're going to run into Lake Forest College along the lake. For those of you who might be from further outside of Chicago, you know, if you were to go around the city and move your way north towards Lake Michigan, you would find us. And what that means is that you have access to the city for all of the resources in terms of internships, in terms of experiences, in terms of being able to grow up as a college student on a campus, but at the same time be able to experience the city. While at the same time really having that 107-acre campus where you've got that collegial environment that you can spend 4 years and graduate and get a job. Half our students come from out of state and half our students come from Illinois. So many of our students are going to be just like you. They're going to stay in state for school and they're going to enjoy everything that we have to offer students who are from the state, but at the same time, they're going to get to experience the campus with 800 of their peers that come from outside the state of Illinois. So 1,600 students, 43 states and 96 countries. And I think what makes us unique is the fact that you can be from the state of Illinois or you can be a local student. And your friends may be from California. They might be from Arizona. They might be from countries in Africa and Europe and Asia. These are common things at Lake Forest College. So you really do get to have that experience. Meeting people from all over the country, but you get to show them the places that you got to hang out, or you get to explore the city a little bit more in a way you didn't. And so that makes it really special for our students who decide to stay in the state of Illinois. Every year, our career placement rate, I talked about the pragmatism of Lake Forest College, and Annie's going to talk about it in just a second, but it's always more than 95% career placement rate. This past year, it was 96, and that's in graduate school or in employment. So our students, not only do they spend 4 years and graduate from Lake Forest College, but they end up with jobs when they get out of here. As we know from many of you, that really is the focus, to get the best education you can and be able to be employed in graduate school when you're done with that education. And almost all of our students find those outcomes. And we try to do it in as affordable ways possible. So all of our students can earn up to $30,000 in scholarships, and that's before need-based aid is provided on top of that. So this is how we create an affordable education and really dynamic community, and something that we hope that you really enjoy learning about here over the course of the next few minutes.
Thanks, Mike. So if you ask me to boil down Lake Forest College into 4 fundamental pillars, the pragmatic liberal arts experience that you get in your education, the career preparation, the access to Chicago, and a diverse student body would be those pillars. I would even more accurately say that career preparation, access to Chicago, and a diverse student body are all filtering into this larger factor, which is the pragmatic liberal arts experience that you're getting. And so with the pragmatic approach in our liberal arts education, you're getting a lot of real world applications. So you're not only learning in the classrooms from your professors, you're also learning through internships. About 80% of our student body within their 4 years of college conduct an internship at some point. You're also getting that in research experience, both on and off campus as well. Study abroad experiences as well. For a semester, you can just go to a new country and start learning in a new program, and start learning and furthering towards your career goals. You also have the In the Loop program and the Activate program, which are our Chicago sort of domestic study away programs that we offer, that I'll be covering a little bit more in depth later. But the experiential learning requirement that we have is part of our Forrester fundamental curriculum, which is sort of like our general education requirement. It's going to require students, especially within their first and sophomore years, to complete a wide array of classes and to start, championing that interdisciplinary relationship between all the studies that we have. So I think, experiencing liberal arts is both in something that will further your critical thinking skills. So preparing you for a field that might change, like if you're a computer science major, something like that is going to look very different in 10 years. So preparing you for those changes with critical thinking skills, with the pragmatic real world application, like the things I just mentioned, and the interdisciplinary relationship between those studies that you're studying. So our Career Advancement Center, so you'll be assigned a career advisor from the very first day on campus. So they help about 99% of our students at our Career Advancement Center with 11 professional staff, which is twice the national average. Students can join one of 5 pathways. So business and finance is one of those pathways, or creative arts and communication is another. Law and public service is one, science and healthcare is another. And we also have a build your own pathway. If none of those pathways seem to fit your specific professional goals, you can kind of make your own and work with our professional staff in the Career Advancement Center to make that happen. So you can also join one of those pathways or multiple, so however it works for you. We also have multiple events that the Career Advancement Center holds every year, such as speed networking. And I think, honestly, the best way to describe speed networking is sort of like speed dating, but with interviews. So students will come prepared with their resumes and their little elevator pitches about themselves, and they'll meet with dozens of professionals in the local area and Chicago and get their names out there, potentially get an internship out of it as well. We also have Career-a-Palooza, so helping students prepare for graduate school applications, helping prepare personal statements, helping them prepare for the job market through resumes and polishing their LinkedIn profiles, all these great things that will make students a bit more prepared for what's to come after graduation. So some of the careers and internships that we have just around the area, especially in Chicago, include all these wonderful things here. And you'll see all the pathways that I mentioned before are represented pretty well in all of these different internships. So the Art Institute of Chicago, Abbott Laboratories, and AbbVie, which are really, really close to campus as well. So if you're commuting or have your car on campus, it's really, really close to get there if you're conducting an internship there. Or Chicago too, if you're accessing Chicago for Goldman Sachs or the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab or the Shedd Aquarium, or even the Northwestern or Lake Forest Hospital, which is actually in town. But a lot of these in Chicago have easy access because of the metro station that we have so close, just a 10-minute walk away on campus too, in the town of Lake Forest. We also have a lot of top graduate programs that are within the city as well, or around the city, such as DePaul or University of Illinois or Loyola or Northwestern or Rosalind Franklin University, which is a med school just about 15 minutes away from campus. So Jessica Dudley, very much within the science and healthcare pathway, from Chicago, was neuroscience major, philosophy minor, class of 2014, ended up graduating and then going on to a master's program in nursing. And now she is working at the University of Illinois Hospital as a labor and delivery nurse. And she definitely emphasizes the small class sizes that we offer. So we have about, roughly 19 students per class with a lot of access to our professors as well that are going to help you get connected with research opportunities on campus, especially if you're science and healthcare or science adjacent. So having that access to professors and to small class sizes will really help you prepare for that as well. But even outside of science and healthcare, we have another alumni, Michael Rufer, from Batavia. He was a finance major, minored in entrepreneurship and innovation. So he ended up working at Morgan Stanley as his internship within his 4 years at Lake Forest. And now he's a senior financial analyst at Allstate. And again, he also emphasizes the relationship with professors to help him prepare for what was to come after graduation as well, and for his professional interests. So back to Chicago. I think Chicago, we call it our second classroom. We're using it so often. Again, we're located just 30 miles north of the city of Chicago, which makes it like an hour train ride on that metro stop that's a 10-minute walk away, right into Ogilvie Station. And so our faculty love to recognize Chicago as a wonderful opportunity for these things. So we take about 200 field trips into the city through our classes alone each year. But the In the Loop program that I mentioned before, which is sort of our domestic study away, but in the city, we'll have about 30 students every semester. It's a competitive program, live in the Loop. So we actually have 2 floors of apartments in the city that are just for Lake Forest College students. They'll live there for a semester, and they'll conduct a rigorous internship at any of the places that I described previously or more. The Career Advancement Center is happy to work with you and your interests specifically to help you land that internship as well. So you're completing that internship, working professionally, while conducting 2 credits of classes at one of our 4 partner schools in the city, which is Roosevelt, Columbia, the School of the Art Institute, and ACM. Or you can just take the train and come on back to Lake Forest and take those 2 credits of classes here on campus if you want to as well. So kind of switching gears back to the last pillar, a diverse student body. I think this is really important to emphasize too, given that you're not only learning in your classes from your professors, you're learning when you go to the cafeteria and you sit down at your table with your friends. You're learning when you're hanging out with your friends in your dorm after school, or after classes and after work and after your internships. You're learning all the time from the people that you're surrounded by. So having students from all sorts of different backgrounds will help contribute to that. So having students students, when you're discussing things in class, having different viewpoints and outlooks than you is really, really important. And again, feeding back into that pragmatic liberal arts experience. But when we say diverse in every sense of the word, we mean 14% of our students are international students. 31% of our students are domestic students of color, and 36% of our first year students that we just welcomed on campus this fall is first generation as well. We also have a lot of built-in support for these groups. Our Office of Intercultural Relations works a lot for our First Connection program, which is one of our 2 new student orientation opportunities, actually before new student orientation, a week before, to help get students settled into college and start, getting friends early and getting used to how college life works and getting them connected with students that are like them. We also have a lot of empowerment groups on campus, specifically for a certain identity group, for students to come meet together and talk about that. That's specifically for that group as well, so they're closed. But we also have diversity clubs that are open to allies too on our campus as well. So we have a hands-on transition process, which looks like, college student mentoring for international and first generation students. You can get paired with an upperclassman student as early as your first semester of college and start getting advice from them and start checking in with them to see how it's going for you so far. We also have campus-wide social justice initiatives as well through our faculty and staff and students. They're all committed to that effort and to make our campus as best as we can make it as a community. So for Illinois students, stay close, go far. When I was at Lake Forest, I'm also a local student from Gurnee, Illinois. So I found a lot of these benefits to be true as well for my experience. But by going to school close to home, you're staying close to your friends and family, to your support network as well. You don't have to change any familiar resources like your doctor or dentist, which can definitely be a pain if you're going to school far away and you have to start finding new resources for that. There's also a lot of familiarity with Chicago and public transportation. So if you have a lot of friends that are out of state, you can just go one of your first weekends, take the train to the city and start introducing them to the city of Chicago, which is really, really fun. You can also stay close to home, but be part of this dynamic and diverse community that we have on campus without going very far to seek it out. So again, the study abroad opportunities and research and internship opportunities, both in the local area in Chicago or even further out. I think you're getting all the benefits that you get from going to a big school, but also having it at a smaller school closer to home too. So still having those opportunities and having the best of both worlds.
And to continue to add to that unique experience that Annie was talking to us about that you can find at Lake Forest College, I think that really looking into the type of academic offerings that we have can really also explain those type of opportunities that we have for you. It's actually pretty common to see our students, about 25% of our students double major, so those take more than one degree path. We have students that choose the route of doing one major and maybe 2 minors or 1 major and 1 minor. So I think that just speaks into the flexibility and really autonomy that you have in creating that major in your experience while you're with us. The top 6 degrees that are awarded in our institution are going to be our sciences, so our biology, our psychology, our business program definitely is one of those most awarded degrees as well. So our finance, our econ, our communications can really align with your desires and what you're looking for. I think one thing that I will definitely mention too that you can do is if you look at our website and look at all the different type of academic offerings that we have, we also give you a description of every single class that's available. And I think that's really cool because you can see really that type of unique liberal arts college experience that we are talking about when we come to our education and the type of offerings that you'll find available. And one other major that our students definitely take advantage of is our self-design major. And I think that definitely allows you to have that full ownership of what your academic experience is going to be like when you come with us. You can work directly with our academic advisor, and you actually get to work with them since day one that you enter or that you commit to Lake Forest College, and they'll be able to work with you all 4 years to assure that you are on track and that you are able to not only succeed in your academic classes, but also graduate as that's our goal to be there. And then our first year studies class as well will help you within that transition. Will really help you indulge yourself within that Lake Forest community. Our offerings that are specific area of academic interest that you're looking for, that can really allow you to have that hands-on experience. And I think something that definitely complements that academic experience, because you are going to live there. A lot of our students work on campus as well. Like we mentioned, a lot of our students are also out-of-state and international students. So that means that they don't necessarily get to go home even on weekends or even during our winter break. So they definitely have to find ways to continue to fulfill their interests inside of the classroom and outside of the classroom. And I think our student organizations really allow our students to indulge themselves in that full collegiate college experience while you're with us. So we have over 80 student organizations on campus, and these can range from academic interests. Maybe you like to play video games, also talk about sports. If you're not necessarily interested in having that varsity commitment, you also have the ability to join an intramural or a club sport where you get to play other students, you get to play other schools, and it's not necessarily much of that commitment level, but more of that fun and competitiveness can continue to happen. And year round, you will always find on-campus events that are offered every semester. Even now, full disclosure, we are fully virtual this semester, but I think it's awesome that not only are offices on campus, but our student organizations can continue to be creative in how they continue to engage their members and their students and participate in the clubs virtually as well. So I'm actually going to go ahead and yield over to Enjo so he can talk to us a little bit more about what type of organizations he's been involved in and just learn more about his experience with us at Lake Forest College.
Thank you, Melanie. Yeah, so first off, I'm happy to be here, but really just want to touch on what my experiences has been like. As a third-year student, I'm in a unique spot because I know what it's like to be a full year on-campus student, and now being an online, it's been a unique experience. I can tell you it's pretty rigorous. It's been tough, but again, just the Lake Forest College community is just so very supportive, even if it's virtual, and that's something I've always admired about this school. I chose Lake Forest because, again, I felt welcome, and I didn't know it was only 20 minutes away from me. I lived from Waukegan, Illinois. Also went to the same high school as Annie, and I just feel like I'm in a different world because of the many different people coming from different states. I mean, my best friend was also an ambassador. He's from Iowa, and he didn't know much about this place, so I was kind of there to help him, introduce him to different things such as Chicago. I want to touch on, first off, the academics. It's, again, we can't emphasize enough about the critical thinking. What makes it unique, coming from a liberal arts background, you are pushed to take classes from different disciplines, which I think is unique. Coming from someone who's majoring in economics and environmental studies, you would never figure out that those two come together. But now I'm conducting an independent study, which I think I would have never gotten if I went to a bigger school, but this school that emphasizes on research and learning, I'm doing an independent study on what's called economics of renewable energy because I wanted to do something on my own, and it's kind of weird because I have to give myself homework now, but it's been a unique experience. I've been a research assistant, economic research assistant since even after my first year. We have what's called the Richter Scholar Program open for first-year students, and then my professor wanted to keep working with me, and she chose me to be a research assistant, and we've been working on different projects such as diversity, inclusion in the workplace, so different things outside of my academic courses. In terms of career, Annie touched on speed networking. I was actually just on a speed networking prep today because we have that coming up for next week. It is one of the biggest events. It brings in a lot of people and a lot of alumni. So I'm preparing for that because I'm not sure if I want to go to grad school or I want to get a job after this, but I think Lake Forest is very supportive of different pathways that you'll be approaching. So that's one thing I'm looking into. And the connection, especially in Chicago, I'm looking at the Federal Reserve Bank for an internship next summer, and already an employee or staff member at our school connected me with a person or an alumni actually that works at the Fed instantly right away, and I have a meeting with him tomorrow. And that's just the things we want to be able to take advantage of, especially with our proximity to Chicago. But in terms of clubs and admissions, I'm involved in a lot of different things. So I get to explore all the, whether it's being part of my fraternity or the new student orientation program, where I get to welcome students that choose Lake Forest as their, home away from home, if you want to call it that way. But even in a remote semester, we still have that sense of community. I'm the alumni relations for my fraternity, so we even brought back an alumni from class of 2005 to show up to our meeting. Literally last night, he's a TV host for the Dallas Stars in Texas, and he started his career in Lake Forest College when he used to host the hockey games. So just little things like that that makes I mean, Lake Forest is so small, but I feel like I'm living in such a small world because there's so many things I can connect back to, and that's really what I appreciate and admire. And there's, you can work, you can be involved in many different things, experience a lot. So as you can see, all the different things I've done on campus, it's been so rewarding. Yet it could be tough at times, but the amount of support that you get at this community is just amazing coming from a small school. And I felt like I lucked out when I realized it was only 20 minutes away from me. So.
Thank you, Andrew, for sharing that with us. I think you definitely highlighted on some very important aspects too of the difference between commuting and staying on campus and how that financial aid may look like for you. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. But before that, one thing that I want to mention is that what you're looking at right now is actually our financial aid scholarship grid. And this grid is also available online, so you can always go back and have that for reference. So you can take a quick look at that grid that we have in front of you and maybe take a look at your GPA. And if you have taken your test, you can look at what that estimate may look like for you. And what this grid tells you is what or how much scholarship you can anticipate, how much presidential scholarship you can anticipate from Lake Forest directly. So let's say you are looking at around the $26,000 mark. That means that you're looking at a $26,000 scholarship per year from Lake Forest College. So I think something that's awesome about our institution is the way that we provide that stability for our students during their times with us. We want to make sure that affordability is definitely not something that you're concerned about during your time with us. So with that, we want to mention that every single scholarship that we offer you is renewable every single year. So for example, if, like I mentioned, if you're getting that $26,000, that means that you're getting $26,000 every single year for being for your academic achievements in high school and then continuing to do great in college. All you have to assure that you maintain is a 2.0 GPA, and you can count on that scholarship being there for you. In addition to that, you're also eligible for a visit grant. Which Mike will talk to you a little bit down the line where or how you can schedule your visit, but the $2,000 visit grant is also available and renewable every single year. So you're actually looking at around $8,000 in total for taking your time to visit us during your college search. And I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next slide to talk a little bit more about FAFSA now. And if you haven't gotten the opportunity to look at the application date, so the application for FAFSA, if you are filling it out, is now open. It was opened on October 1st, so that was last Thursday. So make sure that if you are eligible to fill out your FAFSA, you do that as soon as possible. About 90% of our incoming students have received some sort of scholarship or some sort of financial aid from our institution or through FAFSA. It also, as a reminder, when you submit your FAFSA, you have to submit your 2019 income information. So you're going to be using last year's taxes. So make sure that you tell your parents that and you find that information soon. For those students that are Illinois students, you're also going to receive the MAP grant if you fill out your FAFSA. So that'll be additional financial aid and support. For our international students, the CSS profile is also available, which is another form that you would have to submit to us. And if you have any questions on how to find it, reach out to your admissions counselor. We'll be happy to share that with you. And the last resource that I want to share with you is our undocumented student resource form. So we also provide a financial aid form for our undocumented students. So if that's you and you want to find out more about how to receive that scholarship and that financial aid support, reach out to us and we'll make sure to send you that form directly. And now, when I was talking about FAFSA, and that's you and you're thinking about filling out that FAFSA form, I want you to also look over our Forrester Flagship program. So our Forrester Flagship program is a program specifically designated for all of our Illinois students. So if you're an Illinois student and you're graduating from an Illinois high school, which I think it's almost all of you on this call right now. You also apply to live on campus. So you apply to be a residential student. You complete your FAFSA by the deadline. So again, as soon as possible. And once you complete your FAFSA will determine for you if you're Pell eligible or not. That means if you're receiving the Pell grant or not. So if you meet all those 4 requirements, that means that you're eligible for our Forrester Flagship program. And our Forrester Flagship program is a program for our qualified in-state first year and transfer students, and you are able to receive 100% of the college tuition covered through grants and scholarships. So if you are interested in finding out more information about that, again, our webpage has that information and you're more than welcome to read over that. And then Mike is going to talk to you about some important deadlines that are coming up.
Yeah, thank you. And so we'll wrap up with deadlines, and then I want to talk a little bit here over the course of the next few minutes. And please feel free to start asking questions, and as soon as we're complete, we'll answer them. But I want to talk a little bit about our admissions process and how that works, and maybe some of the changes that you'll see this year, especially. For example, Melanie showed the grid and started talking about how students could find their merit scholarships on the grid, but we're also a test optional college, and test optional students can still earn up to $30,000 in merit scholarships. They just won't find themselves on the grid because there's a different process as it goes into scholarships. So, and you can tell that I'm doing this from home because you may have heard my child in the background, so I apologize about that. So we've got 3 different deadlines. We've got an early action 1 deadline and an early decision 1 deadline, and that's November 1st. So basically, when we have students that are ready to apply now, they can, and they'll be considered early action. And provided that they're considered early action, they'll receive their decisions earlier. If they know that they want to be at Lake Forest, then, and they know that this is the best choice for them, period, regardless of financial aid, that's where early decision can be a good option. But for students who don't want binding admission, want to know earlier and ready to move with the process, that November 1 deadline is a really good deadline for that. We know that we'll have students who are taking a little bit more time in this process, but they still want to learn their decision earlier. We have an early action 2, early decision 2 deadline. Again, early decision is binding, early action is not. That's January 15th, and then our regular decision deadline, which is February 15th. We are not the type of institution that says because you applied earlier, you're in, and because you applied later, you're not. We want students to apply when they're ready. But at the same time, we also want students to delay their applications because they're waiting for, 1 extra letter of recommendation, or they feel that they need another set of grades. Those are conversations that we want to have with students individually to make sure that you're getting the answers that you need as you determine kind of what deadline, what process works best for you. Now, in the past, we would have decision release days. So November 1 was early action, and then it would be December 15th where we release decisions, or January 15th, and then we would release decisions in the middle of February. For this year, because of COVID, we know that many of you are looking to have decisions now. We know some of you are really just getting started with this process. For this year, only Lake Forest is rolling their admissions decisions. So once we have all of your materials, we're notifying students as quickly as we can make a decision on their file, while of course giving it the time and care it deserves. We're not going to rush through an admission decision, because with the amount of time and effort you put in these applications, we want to make sure that we're reading every single piece of it carefully. But at the same time, we're also not going to wait until December if you've already completed your application and we're able to review it quicker. So as a result, we want you to apply when you're ready, and then we want to be able to release that decision as quickly as we can, knowing that for many of you, you may be in a position where you would rather not wait for a specific day to hear back so that you can move forward with your college processes. So when we look at our application requirements, these are the types of things that you're really going to be looking at. When we receive an application, these are for everyone. What we really recommend students send in, everything is required. The interview is recommended for students who are submitting test scores. So we'll take a look at your common application or the Lake Forest application. Doesn't matter which one. We will take either one. Quite honestly, if the common application, because you're applying to 8 other schools, makes the most sense, then we recommend you fill out the common application. If you want to answer the question, why Lake Forest, or if you're only applying to 1 other school or no other schools on the common app, we recommend the Lake Forest application, just simply because in terms of timing, that way you're not going through the whole common app process for 1 school. So in that, we'll get your activities, we'll have your essay, And we'll also have the basic information about your interests. First and foremost, when we review an application, we're going to be looking at your high school transcript. We want to take a look at the courses you've taken. Have you challenged yourself to the best of your abilities? What does your curriculum look like? Have you taken advantage of opportunities? Have you taken advantage of all the opportunities available to you, but there are only so many opportunities that you have? These are the types of things that we're looking at when we look at your high school transcript. We want to see that students are really investing in their coursework, that they're not taking it easy their senior year just because they can. But at the same time, we encourage you to be taking electives if you're trying to learn a little bit more about a different area. For example, some students can't take a business course until their senior year, and they have to choose between taking the fourth year of Spanish or the fifth year of Spanish and an elective business course. As far as Lake Forest is concerned, if you're taking that business course because you want to explore that interest, we're fine with that. At the same time, we want to see that you're continually challenging yourself and that you're continuing to show strength in academics through your senior year. We'll take a look at the counselor or teacher recommendation. We only require one. At the same time, we also recognize that you may want to send in 2 or 3, and that's okay, because for a lot of students, they might be applying to schools that require a couple of extra recommendations. And so you're welcome to send those to us as well. As I mentioned, we are test optional. You're welcome to send us those scores. If you do, you don't have to interview, but we still recommend it because the interview really allows us to get to know who you are. Our interviews are a lot like this. They're really more conversations. We call them admissions appointments because at the end of the day, this is a community first place. And ultimately, we are working to get to know you so that we can identify, even from your interview, how we can help you be successful at Lake Forest if you're admitted and end up attending. So it's really going to be more of a conversation, which is why we recommend that all students interview. And students who choose to apply test optional, when they interview, their application will be complete once we have all of the other pieces. Whereas students who are complete with test scores, because they don't have to interview, we really recommend they let us know whether or not that they'd like to, so that we can make sure we take that into account in the process as we review the application. I want to move forward with a couple more things, and then I see that we have some questions here that I want to make sure that we answer for everyone. So we're building towards the future, and I think one of the things that we're really excited about is that we continue to make changes and improvements to campus that best enhance students' academic experiences and their collective experiences as a community. So we're renovating our largest academic building on campus, Brown Hall, which will be renovated and should be ready to go by the time that you step foot on campus. This is going to have the largest amount of our academic departments. Our Career Services Center is going to be in the middle of campus now because it'll be in Brown Hall. We'll have state-of-the-art facilities. If you've been to campus and you've seen our Science Center, this is that next building kind of up for state-of-the-art facilities. So that'll give us a Science Center with state-of-the-art facilities and a brand new giant academic building with state-of-the-art facilities. It's going to allow students to be able to essentially go to class, go talk to their advisor, and go to career advancement all in the same building. So we're extremely excited about that. And it speaks to us making investments in the academic experiences of our students. We've just started our varsity lacrosse programs. We added a turf field and locker rooms in addition to starting a men's and women's program. So those are off and running, which we're extremely excited about because of the school spirit that we have on campus. We know that our students are going to get really excited about 2 more sports, because the truth is, at a place like Lake Forest, the athletes who are competing on the field are also the ones who are in your classes, are singing with you in the choirs, are in the school plays with you, are in, Greek life with Enjo, or doing other activities. So we're really excited to add lacrosse. Our health professions program, this is an academic investment that we've made in partnership with Rosalind Franklin that is creating joint degree programs with Rosalind Franklin. Now, the health professions program itself is teaching graduate level seminars and graduate work to our undergrads. So whether our students choose to go to Rosalind Franklin through a joint degree program or choose to go elsewhere, they're still going to get that experience from those who are teaching graduate and professional students in the field. And so for our students, especially for our students in Lake County, but certainly any of our students who are thinking about a degree, either pre-health, so pre-med, pre-vet, PA, anything like that, or our students who are thinking about healthcare administration or sociology, anthropology with a healthcare bent. The health professions program is going to be extremely important for those students. And we just announced programs with a 3-2 accelerated program in PA. We're going to have a program in clinical counseling, biomedical sciences. So we're seeing new programs come out of these agreements. It seems like every month at this point. And then recently we introduced data science as a major and a minor, because again, one of the things that we're always trying to do is make sure that we're keeping in mind what our students are looking to learn, and add that to the opportunities that students have at Lake Forest. So we hope you'll come and visit us. We hope you can come to campus right now. We do have, for those who are comfortable, we do have limited in-person visits Monday through Saturday, but you can also take a virtual tour or have a virtual conversation with any of us. And so we encourage you to contact your admissions counselor personally. These are the three of us who presented today. There are three others that represent the state of Illinois. So we have 6 staff that specifically work with regions in Illinois to make sure that you're working with somebody that gets to know you, that gets to know your application, but that also really is able to speak to your area or the schools that you go to. So let me go ahead with that. And first and foremost, thank you for being part of this presentation. We hope that you were able to get the information you were looking for, and all of your counselors will be reaching out. I'll be reaching out to the students I work with, Melanie to hers, Annie to hers. Enjo is actually hosting a student panel with 4 of his friends next week, which I'm sure you'll find out more about as well. But we're going to be reaching out to you. But we really appreciate you taking the time today. With the 5 minutes that we have left, I just want to answer some general questions that I saw that came in. In terms of, there was one question: should you do the interview before or after you complete the application? The reality is that this is completely up to you. And so, our hope is that you'll bring the application in, because then we can actually talk to you about it. Some students say they want to talk to us before they submit their applications, but the reality is when we have your application, we're able to talk to you about your application before it's reviewed. And so that's why it's always really, really nice to ensure that we're able to have those conversations with you about things that might be really important to you. In terms of scholarships being renewable every year, once you have a scholarship, if for example, you've got a 3.0 GPA or you're above a 3.0, you're applying test optional, you get a $23,000 scholarship, you get that $23,000 all 4 years as long as you stay in good academic standing. If you're trying to decide whether or not to apply with a test score, we can't tell you exactly what to do, but we can have a conversation with you about test optional versus not test optional. The total cost of attendance before scholarships, just to put it out there, it's about $49,000 in tuition. It's about 60 to 61 when it comes to total cost of attendance without scholarships, but more than 95% of our students are on financial aid of some sort. So what that means is that even though the total cost of attendance is there, as far as what students are paying, 95% of them, if not more than that, aren't paying. All of you are getting a $2,000 visit grant today for attending this session. So you're already getting that visit grant on top of any additional financial aid that you all get. So just by attending the session, none of you will be paying the total cost of attendance. We had a question about study abroad. Our study abroad programs are affiliated with the institution. If you what you'll end up doing is working through our global engagement office so that they'll be able to work with you in terms of transferring credits in Lake Forest-based programs. I think that's of note. It's important to know that anything that you do as a Lake Forest student, we're going to connect it back to your education, work with you individually on that. We had a question about playing varsity and being in club sports. The answer is yes, you can do both. We don't have a club sport for anything that we have a varsity sport in. So for example, if you play varsity football, we don't have club football, but you could play a club sport in the spring if you wanted to. We've had a couple of questions about cars. First year students don't have cars on campus, but commuting students can have their cars on campus. So if you're a residential student and you live on campus, you won't have your car. But if you are a commuting student, you can have your car. And as a result, there are going to be places for you to be able to park. In terms of, some of these other questions that many of you have, some of them we're actually going to reach out to you personally to answer, to make sure that you get the answer. But one of the questions that we had more generally about scholarships was, the sooner you apply, does that affect scholarship? And quite honestly, the answer is no. If you send your test score in later, we can have a conversation about that later. We're not part of the way that we've assessed aid this year is to make sure that students, whether they're test optional or not, have the ability to earn as much aid as possible. And so if students are sending in a test score after they've been aided, those are conversations that we can certainly have moving forward. And so that's a conversation that you can always have with your counselor, who will be able to kind of walk you through that process. In terms of popular major in technology, things like computer science, data science, those tend to be really our strongest kind of technology-based majors. And so we also have a 3-2 program, with WashU. And so as a result, with that program, typically we'll see students do 3 years and then transfer on to WashU, either for 2 years for a second bachelor's or for 3 years later on for a master's degree. For students who are going to attend for 4 years, those students will then essentially get a master's degree typically after that. So I know we're coming up on time. We will make sure that we answer these questions, and I encourage you to reach out to your counselor personally, and they'll be able to address any questions that we haven't addressed tonight.
Thank you so much, Michael, and every staff member at Lake Forest College. Thanks for this great information. And thank you all to our audience for attending tonight's event. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. So we highly encourage you to please provide any feedback that you can. And again, this was one of many sessions being hosted. So we encourage you to register and look up any other sessions that you may be interested in. So that was it for tonight. Thanks everyone, and have a good night.